Thank you, President Simpson, for your introduction, and more importantly, for the work that you do and for organizing today's event. And thank you to everyone who is joining us here today, especially the families of our fallen officers. Our state is forever in your debt. Joshua Caldwell, Michael Springer, Paul Newell, Jeremiah Story, William Shibley, and Donald Scobie. These men made the ultimate sacrifice to keep us all safe. Today is a day to mourn their passing and to give them thanks for their selfless service. But it is also a time to remember the outstanding lives they led, both in and out of uniform. Joshua loved to fish, loved to cook, loved the hogs, and more than anything, loved being a dad. He never missed a chance to bring his family together, whether it was an early morning fishing trip or to cheer on the Razorbacks. Michael was a decorated Navy veteran of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, who embodied his battalion's motto, "Can do." He doted on his 2 daughters and 2 new grandkids and relished a chance to put his military construction training to use, whether at home or with the Arkansas State Police. Paul loved that his job let him combine a career in law enforcement with a passion for motorcycles. On the road, he was a 2-stepping, boot-wearing biker, and at home, he was a loving father and grandfather to his 2 daughters and 3 granddaughters. Jeremiah was only 21 years old, excited to build a career in corrections and with the Army National Guard. He was a proud patriot and a proud Arkansan who looked forward to serving both his country and his community. Bill served with the Sebastian County Sheriff's Office for 22 years and cherished having a job where he could meet strangers and share a laugh or 2. If he wasn't enjoying time with friends, you could count on him to be creating memories with one of his 13 grandkids. And Donald dedicated his life to serving his country from Iraq and Bosnia to Stuttgart, Arkansas. Friends and co-workers described him as the type of man who would give you the shirt off of his back. Words can't express the hole that these losses leave in our hearts and in our state. Our men and women in blue are the fabric that binds Arkansas together. Losing any of these heroes is a tragedy for every Arkansan. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and to pay a small tribute to these amazing individuals' lives. Please know that Arkansas and our entire administration will always have your backs, and we will always back the blue. You have our deepest sympathy for your loss. May God bless you, and may God bless each of your families. Thank you for your service to our state.
This time I'm going to introduce our keynote speaker, Colonel Mike Hager. Was sworn in as the Secretary of Public Safety and Director of the Arkansas State Police on January 13, 2023. He took the post after serving as Captain of Troop A Highway Patrol, and he has more than 26 years of service with the Arkansas State Police. Prior to commanding Troop A, Colonel Hager served as the Executive Protection Detail for more than 14 years, rising in the ranks from trooper to captain. As captain, he supervised all operations regarding the security of the governor of Arkansas, immediate family, and the governor's mansion grounds, and coordinated all logistics for the governor's domestic and international travel. Colonel Hager has received multiple official commendations for exceptional service, including a legislative citation of merit for service beyond the call of duty, and the Trooper's Cross with Valor for actions during an armed confrontation with a suspect during a hostage situation. Colonel Hager receives his Bachelor of Arts degree in Criminal Justice from the University of Arkansas, Little Rock, and he is a graduate of the Northwestern University School of Police Staff and Command. Colonel Mike Hager.
Good afternoon. I want to start by thanking our governor for being in attendance today. Governor, you've shown over and over that you support law enforcement, not just through your words, but through your actions. It's been an honor to serve for her. It's a continued honor to be able to serve in that role. I've talked to colleagues across the country, and that's not the norm everywhere in this country. So all the police officers and the attendant or in the congregation, we need to make sure that we never take that for granted. So thank you so much for your continued support. I'm honored to welcome the families of our fallen officers. This is an event that you never wanted to attend, and it's certainly not under these circumstances. The words thank you simply aren't strong enough for the sacrifices you've made on our behalf. You shared your family members with us, and their sacrifices became yours. I've never felt more pressure to find the right words to express the gratitude and respect that you all deserve. Throughout the years, I've attended this service many times. I've attended the funerals of more officers than I could have ever imagined. A common term that we've heard at any police officer's funeral is the end of watch. While that term is fitting, I do not want to focus on the end of watch today. I want to focus on the watch itself. In Hebrews chapter 9, the Bible tells us it's appointed unto man once to die, and after this, the judgment. Regardless of our profession, we're all going to pass from life either through death or through the return of Christ. The Bible tells us that when we face judgment, God will not judge us on how we died, but rather how we lived. Today, I want to talk specifically about the life of a police officer and how these men and women that we are honoring here today lived in service to their fellow man. If you know me or you ever heard me speak about law enforcement, you've heard me say that this is a calling from God. I believe that with all of my heart. Just as pastors are called to the ministry, law enforcement is a calling to the service. The people we are honoring here today answered that calling to the fullest extent. In Romans chapter 13, the Bible says, "Let every soul be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God." The authorities that exist are appointed by God. Later in that same chapter, we're told, "For he is God's minister to you for good. But if you do evil, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain, for he is God's minister." As a Christian, I firmly believe that police officers are the ministers of God. The Bible is very clear on the subject. My dad tells a story about a bumper sticker that he saw once on a car. He said it read, "God said it, I believe it, and that settles it." Well, as my dad pointed out, you can strike part of that phrase out. The fact of the matter is, God said it, and that settles it. I would challenge each of you here today to focus on the watch. Many years ago, George Orwell said that people sleep peacefully in their beds at night because rough men stand ready to face violence on their behalf. While no police officer seeks out violence, we live in a world where evil exists, and violence will sometimes find us. As police officers, we have an awesome responsibility. If we truly believe we are ordained by God, our service should reflect that. Those that we are honoring today are the epitome of that service. They lived a life of service up to the point that they made the ultimate sacrifice. As police officers, we all believe in the priority of life. It should determine the way we do our job every day. We all have all sworn an oath that will put the lives of innocent before our own. These words are very easy to say, but living up to those words is much more difficult. My pastor frequently says that your talk talks and your walk talks, but your walk talks louder than your talk talks. These men and women we are honoring here today walked louder than they ever talked. We are forever grateful for this. We can only pray that when we are put in similar situations, we will find the courage and sense of duty that these officers found and be able to fulfill the oath the way they did. I'll let you in on a secret I'm sure every police officer here will agree with. My family knows that my prayer is to grow old with them. I want to meet my grandchildren and even my great-grandchildren. However, as I said earlier, it's appointed unto man once to die. Only God knows when that day will be for each of us. If God decides that my death is to be earlier than I may choose, I'm able to give my life in the line of duty. I can't think of a more honorable way to pass from this life and face my judgment. As all Christians, I strive to hear God say, "Well done, thy good and faithful servant." This is our calling. This is our watch. To the families here today, you allowed your loved ones to follow their dreams and answer their calling. They subjected themselves to the worst this life has to offer. As a result, you also took on that burden. You were their support system, and now we will be yours. You've taken on this calling just as your loved ones did. You shared your family members for the greater good, and now feel the loss more profoundly than we can ever imagine. Please know that you are not alone. You are our family now. You may have lost your loved ones, but the day they put that badge on, they gained an extended family that will always be here for you. We may not have known them all personally, but we didn't have to. They are our brothers and our sisters. There's a bond that we all share that extends not only to each other, but to their families as well. This is why we attend their funerals. This is why we shed tears for people that we've never even met. We celebrate their life, their service, and their sacrifice. We are in awe of their watch and their willingness to do what we've all said we will do. Again, they have walked the talk, and so have their families. For this, we are eternally grateful. In closing, I would suggest that it's okay to mourn the loss of these officers. I would also offer the encouragement from the Bible when it says that we do not have to grieve as those with no hope. We will see our loved ones again. The Bible gives us the path to reach that assurance. Until that day, celebrate their lives, celebrate their service, and celebrate their watch. God bless you.